Off you go.
My name is Rafa and I'm doing a presentation. Just briefly outlining the introduction and playability of our game. And the people that are with me in the group are Dylan, he's basically going to talk about the art, and Connor will talk about the hardware specification, and then we'll cover the audio. So the introduction, so the game title of our game is Red Veteran, and the genre is basically all type size color, and the theme of the environment is our game gonna be set basically.
So Raphael, can you zoom that? I see the bottom right hand corner there. Can you zoom that up?
You just use the slideshow and
Yeah, okay, thanks.
So our game gonna be basically set in outer space, and once you are in the space, you get to advance through the levels and eventually being the planet Mars. So the planet Mars is part of our game level, and the description of the game is basically you're investigating life on Mars. And once you travel to Mars, you find yourself fighting against a horde of enemies which are trying to destroy you, and your task is obviously to prevent them from killing you. And now once you fight your way throughout the level, you will meet the final boss, who you have to obviously kill him, and then once you do kill him, you have to report back to Earth that there is life on Mars. So the gameplay is kind of really slow pace, because we were focusing on younger group generation, so we didn't want the gameplay to be too hard for younger people, and it will be pickups, so that your health will generate, so to make the game easier. And then once you advance through the level, the enemies will get harder, so we didn't want to be game too easy, so the enemies will be able to shoot faster, so therefore it will cause difficulty in movement for the ship. Now our game won't require any gaming or experience or skills, so it could be amateur or beginner that could play our game. And the characters involved in our game is basically, I'm involved on making the main spaceship, which I use Illustrator and Photoshop to make. And enemies, Dylan and Connor are making the enemies. There are two types of them, and Ben will just do the boss character, which is at the end of the level. So the player ability. So the 2D game that I will talk about has many aspects in the playability, and this refers to which players interact with the game. This it concerns itself with interactive tools, input devices, audio and visuals, but it's just not only those that I've mentioned. It's more how you are able to enjoy the game, and so these include like how playable is the game, how is it to play, is it intuitive, and are there any new controls, what type of objectives and goals are in your game, and is there any HUD, high score, time, health, bosses, enemies, and does it have a social media element that enhance the gameplay, such as high score boards or sharing solutions. So playability again, how playable is the game? So the game is most important that does not repeat itself, because the background and foreground are continuously changing, so it's not the same background as you go along the level. You gain a score by destroying enemies, and the more you destroy, the more score you get, and there are pickups.
Okay, 1 minute.
Yeah. And you will fight against all kind of enemies. And so I've mentioned earlier on, the game is easy to play. So one of our aspects was to make the game as addictive as possible, so make the game really enjoyable for young users, and to get high scores so they can compete with each other and make the game more interesting. So earlier on I mentioned the rules, so basically rules out to stay alive and make a high score in the game. So does it make we think, or is it about the eye hand coordination? So once you are playing the game, it doesn't give you a lot of time to think, because you have to dodge the bullets the enemies are shooting at you. So therefore it's more kind of eye-hand coordination, and so obviously the objective of the game is to get as high score as you can, and to complete the game in less amount of time. Now, one of the benefits that I'm going to have is you are able to share the score with your friends and with others who have played it before. And so controls is basically arrow keys to move, space bar to fire. All you need is basically just computer monitor and keyboard to play the game. So audio is really much to the game. So once, for example, you pick up or something, there will be a little sound playback that you have to pick up the pickup, and even if you get hit, there will be a little sound. So that's it about the introduction of the ability.
Oh yeah, my name's Connor. I did the hardware specifications for the game we are making called Red Veteran. The hardware requirements are basically what your computer will need to run the game, and if you do not have the basic requirements, the game will not run for your computer. First of all, you obviously need your computer tower, as you need all the bits and bobs inside it and the components, just so the game will run, or else if you don't have a computer tower, you're obviously not going to have a web browser and play your game. You will need the monitor for your game, just so you can visualize you see the game, and a big enough monitor to fit the resolution, which is 1024 by 768, which I'll talk about a bit later on. You need your speakers for your sound to come through, as in, since we're using stereo sound, and your sound card will be built into your computer. You need your mouse, just to get onto your, first of all, to get onto your internet browser and start up your computer, first of all, and then the mouse will also be used to navigate through the menus of the game to start the game up. And then you'll need your keyboard, as you'll need the arrow keys, and all the arrow keys to move, and the space bar will be to shoot, as Ross said. And you'll be also using the keyboard. You'll also need it to use that to get through your internet browser and starting up your computer as well. For the game to run for the Unity player, you'll need Windows XP, as it's the minimum OS needed for the Unity plugin. And then the Unity plugin is what the game itself will run, as the game is made through Unity 3D, the game engine. You'll need the plugin for the game itself to work, and it will work on your internet. It will run through the internet browser. On the internet browser, you'll need at least Internet Explorer, as it's what will be needed to run the Unity plugin. And for the screen size for the game, as I did a bit of research, and so I typed in the most screen size used for web-based games, and a lot of people are saying most popular is the 1024 by 768 resolution, so that'll be the game. But I personally think myself that it's a good size, so you can fully enjoy the game and the experience. As I said earlier about the sound card, all you need is a built-in sound card, as we're using stereo sound for the game, and you won't really need a separate one for it. And to run in Windows XP, you need a minimum of 64 megabytes, and the recommended amount is about 128 megs, I think. And you'll need the Windows XP so you can run your internet browser, so the game will run, and the XP will also run the Unity web browser, the Unity gameplay plugin. And you'll need at least 233 megahertz Pentium processor to run Windows XP. It'll also get you to that will also help you get to the internet to download the Unity player for the game to work. The recommended processor for it is 300 megahertz Pentium processor. That's down there.
I'm doing the art for our Red Veteran game. We used a military sim for captain for a veteran game. just play on board game. Next we have the game is based on Planet Mars, so I think that's where the name came from. And going to use Martian landscapes and space scenes in the background in the game. I haven't done much of that yet, but we've got to do some. In the foreground, there may be environmental pieces like satellites or satellites to obstruct the player from going just straight through the level. They have just to avoid the enemies. Like, so might also be like alien constructs of buildings or things like that. And then there's 4 characters in our game. There's a player character, 2 enemy characters, and the boss character. Player character is colored black and aqua blue, which stands out from the predominantly red Martian landscape and the purple of the alien craft. Player character is a mix of straight and angular designs, unlike the alien spacecraft, which is all angular design. There's the player character, who's made by Rat. And the enemy NPCs, the enemy spacecraft are predominantly colored purple. This colour scheme was borrowed from the Halo franchise, but also we know that this is a bit of research I was just doing for colour. The way the colour purple is associated with purity, colour purple is associated with mystery and reason. And the second colour about the alien craft is lime green. This is the plasma within the ships for powering boat and weapon system. The alien ships are angular in design, in contrast to modern day human vehicles, which are mainly made of straight lines and shapes and forms. Both the alien ships are based off the Olsen badge respectively from the Halo franchise. There's our alien spacecraft. The first one was made by Connor, and the second one was Bill. Then the enemy boss is a ship at the end of the level. It's going to be static, so we won't be able to move. It's the same colour scheme as our enemies, so keep in mind. It has a red eye, which is a weak point, and claws. Occasionally it will open claws, the fire comes there. That's the only opportunity the player has to attack to actually shoot the eye. The player cannot touch the enemy boss due to the spikes that they allow in body. The enemy boss follows the same design as the NPCs, and there it is. There's my glove in. There's the claws, open and closing, and there's the set pieces.
Alright, cool. My name's Ben. I was just doing the audio part of this presentation. Some of this just didn't really line up because I was doing it in open office and it didn't really involve properly. So anyways, first thing I did was I just wanted to list out all the game contents of what we actually had in the game, so we actually knew what we could make sounds for. So I went through a few different things, like for instance, our game is set in Space Mars, so that gives the overall like environment of where we are in the game that I think is very important in audio in any game. So we have various characters. The main different characters we have is the player, the NPCs. We have 2 NPCs, so they might vary a little bit, and then we have the boss itself. Different types of weapons, so lasers, missiles. It could be acting like a sound wave, anything like that. But basically, what we've come up with at the moment is just lasers and missiles. But that's still kind of something that we'll be working on as well. So we need sounds for maybe them being fired. We have pickups. Pickups seems to be a main one. Another one that we're going for where we want like different pickups for things like, let's say you could start off with lasers and then you'll end up with missiles. You want to have the sound for different pickups you get, so then we like extra health. So because we'll have like a health bar in the game. So if you want to pick up another health, it will give you like back maybe a percentage of your health or maybe full health. If you want sound from when you pick them up, and then points. The way we're doing points in the game is that we're going to be doing a mixture between when you kill enemies and like how far you get along, that your score will go up, and at the end of the game you'll get a grade on that. So I was thinking also then if we were thinking that if we needed sounds for the HUD as well, we could do that as well, which I've also displayed down here as well. And we're also thinking about maybe moving traps. So for instance, we might have the stalagmites, stalactites, we might even have open and closing doors if we get into some sort of like underground area or something like that, so we might need some sounds for the movement as well. And then we've got splash screens, such as the menu, the win-lose screens, and the grade screen, and then actual level itself as well. We actually forgot to put that in, which would be like music and ambient noises for all of those as well. Cool. So the overall style of what we were going for was kind of a retro arcade game. So we're going to go for beeps and blips, synthetic kind of sounds because it's like in space. So like things like lasers, like we won't be able to go and record a laser, so we're going to have to like create that sound from scratch. And we're going to go for that 18-16-bit style where it's not actual kind of real kind of sound, that would be kind of like synthesized or something like that, or put into some sort of like MIDI controller or something like that. And the overall kind of sound scheme and style of the game we're going for, where we're going for, was games like Radius 3 and R-Type. Music. So we're going to go for fast-paced in-game music to match speed and game and help bring the player along with the tempo of the game. But then we're going to go for slow ambient music sound for the menus and stuff, when the players like not necessarily having to keep up with the speed of the game. You could just be like, could have gone off, or you'd be looking at different things, and we had more like it's kind of like the different pace of the game. You know what I mean? Different points of the game. We want the music to match that. Then also what we're going to do is have maybe like in the game ourselves, we're going to have like the boss character, let's say, off screen, and when you get to the point where you're going to face the boss, we're going to have him slowly come in. We're going to have maybe have a little intro play for that, and then the music itself actually change, so that like when you're playing the game, it's quite positive and bright music. But then when you're fighting the boss, the feel or the mode of the game will change to dark and evil because you're facing the boss. Also, we're going to do like music for like the win-lose screen, so maybe something positive for when you win, or if you lose, like a negative sound. Sound effects. So I was just basically trying to like describe that. As I said a little bit earlier, it was like many of the sounds of our game will need to be created as our world is like fantasy set, like lasers, aliens, pickups, things that we won't be able to record in the real world. For the death of the characters, NPCs, just that there'll be variation in maybe how certain characters die or explode depending on their size or you know, things like this. And then other kind of sound effects for ship movement, damage, score increment, end game kind of grade sort of thing. Then the menu itself, we were thinking of maybe reusing or slightly altering certain sounds from the in-game, so that like everything, even the menus still kind of has that reoccurring theme that we want from our game. And then ambient music and sounds, just an example, because we're still kind of in the development, thinking of ideas for this. I just put in, for example, like the echo of the ship engine noise, just as a very brief, simple example. And then just simple like file typing examples, just that like our game will mostly be using MP3 or WAV file formats, which will be obviously making a reverb. And then just like we'll just use a straight standard stereo, just so that like across the board, you know, most players will have the necessary tools to play it. And then I just add like links and stuff for music from Radius 3 and R-Type, so that we're going on for style was. But we can't play that one.
Okay.
You could actually, but we'll do you want to leave it there?
What's that?
Do you want to play the sound, or we'll leave it there?
Yeah, no, leave it there. Just over time, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.